do it. Block Party's out. I'm your host, Mike Wall. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying, please subscribe, rate, and review on our YouTube channel, Process to Perform. Hit me up, Mike Wall 68 on X or Process to Perform on Instagram. If you're enjoying this, thank you out to our sponsors, Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro basketball and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting contests and all the best player props pools. In-game betting is amazing, by the way. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you want to talk about just turning a boring, out-of-conference game into something exciting. Holy hell. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime for your desktop or your mobile devices. So head to Bet Online today to become part of the team. And remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, that's BLAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And we're going to talk safeties today. And I think that's for Packers fans, it's been a real, I guess, and part of point of contention over the last couple of years. Really, last particular was to get rid of Adrian Amos. Darnell Savage being a first-round draft pick doesn't look like he's going to be back. Rudy Ford, a couple other guys. I think the word that you never want to use the word mediocre, but in this as it pertains to National Football League talent, I think you have to look at some of these guys as having kind of mediocre careers so far, at least for their time they're spending in Green Bay. So post-combine, here's what happens. Post-combine, the Packers probably have a pretty good idea right now. Their draft board's shaping up. And obviously there's some workouts they need to go to, but they've got the medical. They've seen these guys on tape. They've seen these guys in person. They interviewed a couple people. I think they have a pretty good idea. I think Goody's got a really good sense of, okay, these are the players that I rank really highly. We've got a couple picks in the first two rounds. We have the 24th, the 41st via the Jets, and the 58th. And so my guess is they've got a couple positions that they're really interested in. We've talked about it could be interior offensive line. It could be interior defensive line. It could be, it certainly is safety and secondary. And my guess is that the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, he's talked about it. He wants a safety who can erase a portion of the field. So you're talking about an Ed Reed type, a Paul Muller type, somebody that has that range. But when you think about historically what they've been running at a single safety defense, a pressure defense, you also need that guy, and I don't think they have either of them on the roster right now, that is really good around the line of scrimmage, that can play on the offensive side of the ball, that's good at pressure packages, and really just a really secure tackler both at the line of scrimmage and the alley. So I think when you look at the safety position right now, you need both. You're going to probably pay for one and maybe draft the other, or you find both. Maybe you think Rudy Ford can get the job done for next year, and you just want to get like a real standout first round, high second round guy, or a high free agent guy that can come in and be kind of one of those two guys. Either the guy in the back that just, listen, this side of this field is gone, or a guy that plays really, really well around the line of scrimmage. They also could be looking at, that center guard we talked about, and it also looks like with A.J. Dillon leaving the team, Aaron Jones, I don't think Aaron Jones will leave, but he certainly has every right to shine off their proposal that he takes another pay cut from. I think he's going to make like $11.4 million or something dollars. Certainly, he's the best player on offense. I don't know if I would take a pay cut to stay around there at this point. I don't think that a first-round tackle at 26 is it 26 or 24? Excuse me. I don't know that there's a tackle that will make it to the first round that I would pick at 24. I think there's some, obviously Joel, everybody's talking about. We looked at a couple guys here. And I would say this, if the kid from UW, Troy, if he falls to 24 because he can play tackle or guard, I don't know how the Packers view him, he could certainly be a first-round pick as well. But I don't know that we don't need the right tackle from Oregon State just because we have a right tackle already. And you start looking at some of the interior guys, and historically, the Green Bay Packers are going to pick up a tackle and make him a guard. And that's why when I see Fautano, that's what you look at. I think the kid from Penn State has very, very unique athletic traits. I don't know that. I think somebody's going to take a risk on him before 24 because he's so athletic. Even though, uh, for me, I think he needs to have the right coach in the right situation to be a really good player, kind of maximize his ceiling. So there's always a running back in that area that you looked at Bijan Robinson, obviously up in Detroit, what they did with their two-headed monster. Bijan being in Atlanta, but there's some guys that you can pick up first and second round from a running back position, be a perfect complement for Aaron Jones if Aaron Jones stay around. So we could talk about all the possibilities, I guess, but today let's just look at the safety position. There's some guys that are going to be available at that first round pick or that 41st pick via the Jets. And if you can remember from last offseason, kind of post combine, a lot of the safeties dropped in value. I remember Brian Branch watching him and just going, this kid's amazing, star position from Alabama. But his 40 wasn't quite what everybody thought it might be. There's a couple guys like that. And so their value dropped, even though you turn around and go, what a great pickup, obviously, for the Detroit Lions. And some of those other guys have went on to have really good, I think, first years. They're going to have these great careers. But unfortunately, for a lot of these athletes, they don't show at the combine. They don't show the 40. The media gets a hold of that. The personnel guys in these teams don't want to be wrong. They don't want to miss on a guy, even though they've seen him on tape enough to know that the 40 doesn't matter necessarily if his play speed's fast. I don't know at the safety position, just the guys that I've watched, which is probably, I don't know, 5-7 guys. I don't know that I've seen like an Adrian Wilson, a Troy Polamalu, and certainly an Ed Reed. Like you can start projecting. And usually what happens with these guys, and I do the same thing, is I'll see a guy and you see the physical traits and you go, oh, that could be like this guy. That could be. It's not that he is that guy. It's not that he'll ever be that guy, that Adrian Wilson, a Cam Chancellor, a Troy Polamalu, an Ed Reed, a Honey Badger, right, a Buda Baker. But they have similar characteristics. And then it really turns into, from a defensive coordinator's standpoint, what do you value the most? Right. And I just have to give my perspective as a guy, if I was building a team, what do I value maybe more than anything else at the safety position? I think there's two positions. You look at, I always like, to Seattle Seahawks, Legion of Boom. Earl Thomas, small, fast, range, violent tackler. Cam Chancellor, absolute unit, 6'3", 235 pounds, whatever he was listed as, 235, absolute unit, enforcer, violent. I don't know if he could even play in today's game the way they call it. So I had to cut some criteria here because otherwise you just look at 100 prospects. I'm quite frankly not interested in doing that. Simple criteria to look at a player: over 205 pounds, under a 4.5 40 time. So over 205, so a bigger safety. Under a 4.5, good range. Okay, that leaves two guys in their top 10. The top 10s that you find on the internet. Cole Bishop out of Utah, 6'2", 206, 4.45 40, and Malik Mustafa, Wake Forest, 5'10", 209, 4.33. And then so I added James Williams, who's that kid out of Miami, and they actually have two good safeties. He's number 20. I actually like 5 as well. 6'4", 231. 4.65 40. So not quite the hips necessarily as the other two, but an absolute unit. I would love to see an enforcer in the secondary, and this guy can play at or behind the line of scrimmage. When this guy lines up at linebacker, he looks like a linebacker, right? And they still, at Miami, they have him play deep post as well. So he can cover tight ends. There's a couple different things that he can do. He's a unique body type. What you see with most of these guys is there's different levels of coaching that have gone into how they play. And there are some really not that subtle differences in athleticism. So let's look at a couple of these guys. Let's start with Cole Bishop, the kid out of Utah, 6'2", 206, runs a 4.45. My notes first, and then we'll watch a little bit of tape. Very fluid mover, very comfortable around the line of scrimmage. He's a good tackler. He can cover space effortlessly. Kind of plays the star position, much like Brian Branch did for the Alabama last year. He can improve his lane discipline both in the run and the pass game, the blitz look, so the pressure game. What I mean by lane discipline, I'll show it on tape, but sometimes his angles aren't what they need to be. He plays a lot around the line of scrimmage, but he definitely has the range to play deep safety as well. So he can be that guy where if you're looking for a person that can take away half the field with his speed and he can play around the line of scrimmage as a sure tackler and violent to the ball, I think this guy is, for me, one of the best in the draft this year. Let's take a peek. So first thing, they got motion. He's coming in. He understands leverage. He understands that if they go across, he doesn't want to be caught, being late in the flat. What a fluid mover this guy is, first and foremost. You just watch this here. So they're going to run a route back out. So an arrow out to the flat here. And don't watch the ball. Just watch the way he turns his hips, the way he moves, the way he gets around. Like a lot of the stuff with the safety position, when you're not always involved in contact, you're not always being thrown to. You can't just sit there and watch the ball and watch only the plays that they make, because there's so many times where a guy gets beat, they don't get the ball doesn't get thrown his way. There's so many times that he does a great job in coverage and the ball doesn't get thrown his way, or block protection, the ball, he doesn't end up making the tackle. So you got to watch every rep for what it is, not necessarily just if you were watching soccer, a guy might just watch all the touches of a Kevin De Bruyne. Well, you can't do that in football because there's 72 reps. All the reps matter, and there's reason that things are happening as far as whether they're throwing the ball to him or not might be a consequence of how he's acting. So we look at here again, and you just see the way he turns on that tight end, can watch and read eyes. And again, just the flip of the hips to me is just very, very unique. And now he turns back around, and you just see, that it doesn't seem like a big deal, but the way this guy flips and runs is awesome. Awesome to watch. Stick his head in here. Good power angles, right? Feet on the ground, delivers the blow. Good body position, hip hinge, going through the ball carrier, knocks him flat. Now we take the high rush angle here, and of course the tackle makes a mistake. So the running back, he's got to be able to take this running back and go through at level and not pull through. He ends up getting a play here on this because we get a sack fumble. But this is not what you're looking for from a safety or any position, right? If you're going to run, 5 yards up over the quarterback, well, why'd you rush at all? You're not doing anybody any favors. This ends up working out for him, but just when you look at the angle here, you really want to occupy that space at the level of the quarterback, or maybe a yard behind it, but not like 5-6 yards behind it, something you can work on. That's just coaching. You just look at the closing speed, and I'll back this one up one more time. So he's coming off the bottom of the screen, off the line of scrimmage. Really, really fast player. Really fluid mover. Don't watch the ball again. Watch the way that he comes off the line. So he starts at the tight end in the slot. Easy mark. This guy can cover from a speed standpoint and physical standpoint. He can cover all day long, these tight ends. Anybody attached, not a problem. Watch the flip. The flip and acceleration. Again, don't watch the ball. Just you're watching hips. You're taking a body type, and then you're taking the production, and you're going, does the body type make sense with their production? And then if there's any kind of gap, like he has not enough tackle. He has 10 tackles during the season. He has no picks. He has 1 pass defended, for example. Not that this guy's that case. You go, phenomenal athlete, very, very little production. And then you have to start going, okay, do I know that staff? What do I think of that staff in terms of development? Do I understand the scheme and what he's being asked to do? In other words, is he always playing deep safety or something to the point where he's never going to get to be part of the action? If that stuff isn't marrying up. If it is marrying up, then you go, okay, can I envision him executing the scheme that I need to, given the skill set that he has right now with a couple tweaks? If the answer is yes, and you think he's a phenomenal athlete, then you start looking at him as a first-round pick. If the answer is no, then you figure out, like, how much time does that take, and what value of a grade do I put on that based on when is it going to take him to get to the starting level that I need? So we see the run, and that this is a stay in your lane moment. So they have a trips release down here. Safety's coming up over the top, and you just got to know what the priority is as far as he tries to undercut this, run with the guy. He got caught watching. A lot of the safeties in college get caught watching quarterback's eyes, especially in doubles and trips looks, because they're always looking for that second guy to come over across their face. It happens to here. It happens later on with Mustafa. You have to be able to understand and key the routes before the snap. If you are watching the quarterback's eyes, you have to be able to watch him while playing full speed. You can't get caught stepping or get caught looking. Obviously, you see if a defender blows this here. Now you look at just the drive here. This receiver's not doing a great job of challenging leverage at all. This is an easy play for a guy with fluid movement, but he certainly has it in spades. You know, he can pickpocket whenever he wants there. Really, really talented guy. Now, we talk about improving lane discipline. What you could do versus what you do. Come down a little bit harder. Now, he ends up taking some guys out here, and this is phenomenal. But when you rush upfield, quick thing here. This is kind of fun to talk about, all right? So if I'm the safety coming up top and the back's offset the other side, 9 times out of 10, they're either taking the inside handoff, right, to go straight downhill, or they're coming across my face, so they're going to enter into the B, the C, or the D gap. So as the defender who's got outside contained, because I'm coming off the edge now, what you really have to understand is if I go high, I could run myself out of the play. And what I really want to do, because they're not going to hand the ball off straight across in this formation and have him try to run outside the numbers. So what I really want to do is I want to force this guy back at the line of scrimmage so I can really create that pile at the line of scrimmage so that my defensive end, my defensive tackle, the backside contain. This guy has to stop earlier. He can't shift underneath me. And when he has to slow down and change direction, that's when my guys catch up, right? He's a little bit high here, but I do like the way he brings on contact. So that's Cole Bishop. He's top notch as far as the guys I watched on tape. Quite frankly, I think he'd be a great fit for the Green Bay Packers because I think, quite frankly, if you get 2 guys like him, you're interchangeable. You don't have to have a range guy and an enforcer. You don't have to have that. You can just you could be like Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer back in the day for the Bills for the last couple of years, where both guys can do both things very, very well.